kind, and I like the workmanlike introduction. It's nice. I also like reading behind. That way, you can have there's a positive social message no matter what I say. I'm going to start with a poem that's actually, for me, quite old. It's called "Why I Hate Realism," and I had the good fortune to get to talk to Frank Bedard about this poem when I was a student at the University of Houston. And when we came to this poem, he said, "Why, Mark? Do you really hate realism?" Well, it was just a launching pad, really. But here it goes. Why I hate realism. There are always plenty of viruses to go around. Everything is reasoned out to hopelessness, and no realist ever committed sleeping on the wing to memory, because memory is a way of picking out a joyless scientist, a harsh narrator who spends no time looking out the window underneath clouds at the man across the highway, watching the traffic from his white chair, a whip in one hand and a Diet Coke in the other. Sometimes a whip, sometimes a violin out of tune. Gregory Peck never wins Audrey Hepburn in Roman Holiday, though the story behind the story turns out okay, considering in realism, you never meet the love of your life. And too many drinks is just too many drinks and a headache. The map of Indiana on the coffee table is just a map of Indiana, and not a mansion or a tonnage of clue leading to cures. There aren't any miracles. All the replacements recordings are at the bottom of a big, muddy river, so we're left with a legend without an echo. In realism, O'Hara dies of something completely unludicrous. No one goes walking out of Denny's real casual-like, with a pot of steaming coffee in one hand, while the other hand waves a goodbye that isn't a goodbye as much as it's a wink. Nothing of flight. Only something like flight, which is really not flight at all. The good part survives in order to instruct you on how bad things realistically are. You always walk out of the Sistine Chapel alone, full of rue and reduced as you pass a beautiful woman, wondering if she's the other love of your life, but she isn't, because in realism, there is no love of your life, and your mathematics are devoted to decreasing pain at the risk of never rushing awkwardly, mistakenly, right into pleasure. Jouissance is just a word the silly French made up. Now always makes up its mind to be worse than then. Appearance of flame means only loss, disintegration. The fight between the boy and the girl as everyone leaves the baseball stadium results in her getting into a stranger's car right in the middle of slow, heavy traffic, and then rushing back to Elsinore, yelling some more, and then getting into the stranger's car again. It never shakes itself into anything other than the inability to know another. No redemption. Joy never sees a ghost. There's no such thing as ghosts. No spirits, no spirit, no soul, no fuse. No 8-year-old girl asking me plainly, wisely, what is incisive? What is a quadrant? When she's really asking, are things like they say they are? What can you tell me in the time it takes to eat dinner at my house? Don't believe one of them, Courtney. They're scared you won't be scared. Courtney, once I caught my shadow. I let it go because it asked to be released, and there was a horn section nearby, can you believe it? A horn section, and somewhere in Oregon, and I felt like I wasn't just walking, and would never have to again. Courtney in the poem, by the way, is my then 8-year-old, now 20-year-old cousin. And this next poem I'm going to dedicate to Jason Pugh. Originally, I had this plan that what I was going to do is I was going to write a poem entitled Jason Pugh, or maybe even a fictional life of Jason Pugh, in which I was going to focus almost exclusively on what a good dresser he is. But I didn't really have time, unfortunately. That poem is forthcoming from my unconscious. So I'll just read this poem that I know that he likes instead. This is with apologies to my wife, who made this fantastic salad and didn't save the entire world, so I wrote this poem instead. Is not this salad everything you ever wanted from a salad? Yes, except the power to regenerate lost limbs, or locate keys, some ingredient so fountainous in the tasting that it imbues the salad eater inside out with the youthful thrill of leaping 40 feet from the cliff to the river. except perfect comedic timing. This salad's got a lot going for it, but it doesn't compel mortar fire to relax into roadside attraction. It eases ravenous hunger for moments, but can't fix a car or shine shoes properly. The avocados fail to smooth the irritant of fiscal miscalculation, and even the realest real bacon bits can't calm the chaotic torrent of the real. It looks at the ground when you ask it to clean the house. It leaves us with a lot of work we must accomplish another way, or else risk waking again without a hand in a time where tanks propel wads of capital through ceremonies and those attending ceremonies. Dishes slip from your hands in sync. When asked to perform simple tasks, the salad scores poor or completely unsatisfactory, as if a lesser salad. One cannot deny that within it there is a coolant, a collusion of tastes, a tang which excites the tongue, but an excited tongue can only do so much. The sunflower seeds, the cucumber, the grape tomatoes, none can bring the fever down or make perfect selections on the jukebox. Unless this salad gets a lot better, or it's hiding something, we're still going to get splinters. Let's face it, a marinated olive is hopeless when it comes to bicycle maintenance or directing the avant-garde version of Annie. No matter how perfectly graded, Parmesan cannot locate suitable employment. The lime and cilantro dressing is good at dressing a salad, but fails miserably when it comes to 3-year-olds or car crash victims. It lacks peperoncini. It has get up and go, but not one artichoke heart. It's so tiny, it can't even annex a piece of land the size of a Rhode Island road map. Geez, what an utterly human salad. Can it come up with a word that trumps avarunque for sheer expression of the extraordinary ravages of a normal life? Can it remember everything you're supposed to and when, or navigate the pastoral and urbane with equal aplomb? Can it swim? That's what I thought. It just sits there needing more salt, not even pretending to work on the unified field theory. It will not make you eternal. For this, it may be unforgivable.